Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Welcome dear students and learner of this course. I am Kamesh Rawal. I welcome you in the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Let us go ahead with the course. See, first of all, we are just focusing on this thing, what actually the computer is, right? So basically, you know that throughout the 3 years program, what we need to do is we need to focus on the computer, right? We need to learn how to make applications into the computer. So first of all, I would just like to give a brief introduction of this subject. Basically, this particular subject is related to the technology, right? So starting from how the computer is actually invented, right? Then how the slowly and gradually the technology gets changed, right? Suppose we will talk about the first generation of computer. So in the first generation of the computer, what was the technology was there, right? How the first generation computer get translated into the second generation and so on, right? So starting from, the first generation, right now we know that we are using the mobile phone. Mobile phone is nothing actually, it is a one computer device, right? So what technologies are there in that computer and the mobile, right? Smartphones, all the equipments, hardware equipments like what is RAM, what is hard disk, what are the different type of memories are available, what is a CPU, that type of hardware devices that we need to focus in this particular subject. Not only that, several chapters are there which will gives you a brief introduction of the what is database technology or how can you secure your system, right? So basically in this particular subject we are more focusing on the technology, right? Okay, fine. So let us start with a introduction, right? So see, the first thing that we are focusing here is computer, right? So what actually the computer is, right? Computer શું હોય છે? So basically the computer, it is a device, it is a machine, right? And basically whenever we have invented the computer, at that time the overall purpose was just to do the computation, just to do the calculation, So here what we can say is the term computer is actually derived term. It is derived from the word compute, right? So basically when we have invented, we human have invented the computer, at that time we want a machine which can do a faster calculations, right? For example, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, so such type of operations, right, that we want to perform in a very fast manner, and for that purpose we have invented a machine, right? So basically the first thing is what the term computer is actually derived from the term compute. Okay, see, basically have you seen there is a person is there in the bus and who is actually conducting the money? So we call the guy who is conducting the money is called a conductor, right? Similarly, let's suppose we will talk about a person who is working in the bank. We are calling that person as a banker because he is working in the bank, so is a banker, right? The person who is conducting the money is called conductor. Similarly, a machine which is designed to do the compute, right? It's called a computer. So here the main thing is the word, this word, it's called a compute. Okay, so here the computer is actually a derived word, and that is actually derived from the word compute. Now what is actually compute? Compute means doing calculations, right? Addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, etc., etc., right? Yeah, but if we'll talk about today's computer, in the today's computer lot of things that we can do, right? In which there is no computation, there is no calculation is involved, right? For example, by using a today's computer, you can prepare your Word document, you can prepare your resume, right? You can prepare a presentations, right? So here you can, you can make a presentations, you can watch the movie, you can listen the music, you can do a chat with your friend, right, who is a miles away from you. Okay, such type of thing that we are doing with the today's computer. Okay, in fact the computer was not originally designed to do the email or chat or for watching the movie and all that thing. But the thing is, nowadays lot many things which we are doing with the computer, in which there is no computation or calculation is involved. Fine. So what is today's computer? How can we define today's computer? Fine, we'll just go into the detail of it. Fine, you just think how the computer is evaluated, right? How it is invented and how the different changes has been done into the computer technology. So here you can see the origin, right, of the computer technology that is actually started in the 19th century, right? Abacus, I think most of the student, and here I have placed the image. This is the image of abacus. Okay, so this is what it is, the image of abacus. This is one small device. And do you know for what purpose we are using this particular device? To do the calculation, right? By using this device you can do arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication in a very fast manner, right? Okay, so this was the first machine we have invented so that we can do a rapid calculations. Fine, the Pascal, right? So here we'll just go through a second point. The Pascal, he has developed a machine. I'll just show you that machine too. We have the photograph of it. So here the Pascal, right, he was a scientist and he has designed a particular machine which will have a number of gears. You can see here small gears are there in the machine, and on the top surface there are few circles are there, and on that circle some numbers are written, right? So this is what one of the machine which is invented by a Pascal. In fact, the first machine, you can say the first computer is nothing, it is a abacus. It was a small machine, right? A small device, right? But the thing is, later on the Pascal has invented a new machine to do the rapid calculation, right? And that is called a Pascaline, right? So here I have shown the photograph of the Pascaline machine. That machine was actually having a number of gears, and by changing the gears you can do a different type of operations. Okay, so the first machine, it was abacus, right? Second attempt, that was a Pascaline. Okay, now the thing is, the modern computer, right? If we'll talk about a today's computer, so basically the fundamental principles of that computer is actually given by Charles Babbage, right? So if we are using our smartphone, it is a kind of mobile, right? Or PC or laptop. In that, whatever basic principle we are using, that actually has given by a Charles Babbage, right? He has written a logic, right? So he has written a logic. I think you people are also learning a programming language like C. So in the C language, whatever steps you are writing, it is called a logic, right? To solve a particular problem. So here, the Charles Babbage, he has written a logic, he has made a loop, right? Something, if you want to repeat, then you need to use a loop. So here, repetition will be done by the loop. So how to write a loop, or how can we write a logic to solve a particular problem? That thing is actually made by a Charles Babbage, right? He has designed a two engine. One that is called analytical engine. So this is an analytical engine, and second is a difference engine. So this is called a difference engine, right? So these are the two main thing which is invented by Charles Babbage. However, the idea of the Babbage, right, whatever principle he has made, right, that actually is implemented later on when the electronics, right, is invented, right. So when the Charles Babbage has invented all those things, at that time electronic thing was not there, right. We are just coming to this point, what actually the mean that is called word called electronic, fine. So we are just coming to this point, okay. Afterwards, George Boolean, right, he has developed a famous Boolean algebra. Now you people, I think you people might think, okay, what is actually a Boolean, right. So what is Boolean? Okay, so Boolean, it is actually a logic, Boolean, it is a logic, and in this logic there are two symbols we are using. One is called 0 and another one is called a 1, right. So 0 and 1, apart from 0 and 1 there is no symbol is allowed. Everything, whatever you are writing, that you need to write it down into the terms of 0 and 1. And you people might surprise that this, our computer can understand only a one language, and that is the language of zeros and ones, right. Whatever number you give, right, let's suppose 45. So obviously when you are giving 45, the computer will convert that number into the terms of zeros and 1, and then it will be stored into the computer's memory, right. Similarly, suppose if you are giving your name, right, that name is again converted into the terms of 0 and 1, and then it will be stored into the computer's memory. So whatever thing is stored into the computer's memory, they are in the terms of 0 and 1, right. This language of 0 and 1, which machine can understand, obviously we people cannot understand this, but machine can understand this language. It is called a binary language, right. So total one arithmetic, one algebra, right, which is based on 0 and 1, right. Let's suppose if you are giving one number 45, obviously the computer will store that number in the terms of 0 and 1, right. Suppose if you are giving another number called 15, computer will store again that number in terms of ones and 0. Now suppose if you are instructing to the computer that you do the addition of this two number, right. So at that time, how the computer will do the arithmetic, how the computer will add both the number. See here, the computer will do the addition in terms of ones and 0, and the final answer will be produced, it is a same number. So how this addition, subtraction, etc. will be done with the binary language, fine, that all things are there in this particular course, right. So we are going into the depth of how can we compute a binary, right, how the characters will be stored and all, fine. But here, the George Boolean or George Boole, he has developed a famous Boolean algebra, right, and that algebra, right, Boolean means Boolean, it is a term which is basically used with the two symbols 0 and 1, and if we talk about a language which use only these two symbols, it is called a binary numbers, right. So George Boole has developed that thing. Afterwards, De Morgan, right, he was one scientist, and he has converted that mathematics, right, mathematic, that is called Boolean algebra. That Boolean algebra, right, is converted into the logical gates. Are you getting this? Let's suppose this type of gates are available. For example, this type of triangle shape is there, okay, triangle shape is there, and here small bubble is there. Right now, see here what happened. This type of gate is available, and that gate is actually developed by De Morgan, right. Now see what happened. Let's suppose from here as an input, if you are giving 1, so you are getting output as a 0, right, because the 1 is inverted to a 0 symbol. And similarly, let's suppose if you have given a 0 here, if you are passing 0 as an input, in that case you will get 1 as an output. So this is what it is, a small gate which is known as a NOT gate. It will do the negate, right. So for example, if you are giving a 1, Obviously, as an input, if it is receiving 1, then it will produce a 0 as output. Suppose if you are giving a 0 as an input, in that case it will produce 1. So this thing, right, and there are so many other things are there. For example, AND gate is there, OR gate is there, XOR gate is there, right. So that type of gates are actually developed by De Morgan. Okay, then Lady Ada, that was she was a first computer programmer, right, and she has started how to do the programming and by using these machines. The real applications of the computer, right, that has been started in the mid of 19th century, right. So after 1950, right, the computer is invented and the programming language has been grown up. Okay. Now we will just try to define what actually the computer is, right. So the computer is a electronic machine, right. So here the word that is called electronic. So what is electronic? Why we are calling this computer as an electronic machine? The reason is quite simple, because our computer is actually made up by a small circuits which is called ICs. ICs are known as integrated circuits, right. Now what is this integrated circuits? We are just coming to this particular point. So computer is what? It is an electronic machine, right. Our computer is actually made up by using a lot of small circuits which is known as integrated circuits, right, ICs. Okay. Computer is an electronic machine which can do arithmetic and logical operations at very fast speed. The computer is a very fast, right. Suppose 50,000 numbers will be added in a 1 second, even in a smaller time period than a second, right. So the computer is what? It is an electronic machine which can perform arithmetic as well as logical operations. Now what we mean by a logical operation? Let's suppose in the programming, many times you are writing logical syntax like, if the value of x is greater than 5, then you do this, otherwise you do that, right. So this type of statements, right, which is based on some conditions, they are known as a logical statement. So what computer can do? Yeah, computer is an electronic machine which can perform fast arithmetic operations, right, as well as logical operation. It can store the data, right. So it can take the data from the user, the data gets stored into the computer's memory, the computer will process that data and it can produce information, right. So basically our today's computer is actually nothing. It is not every time we are using for a computational purpose, but most of the time today's computer we are using for processing of data. So it is a good definition that we can know today's computer as a data processor. Okay, fine. Now what is data? So data means what? Data means unstructured raw material and unstructured facts, right. Now what do you mean by unstructured? Okay, so let's suppose attendance of one student of a 1 day, it will be a data. Suppose Shyam is present today, or something, Ram is absent today. So this is a data, right. On this basis, Ram is absent today. On that basis, can you predict that the Ram is irregular student, or Shyam is present today? So can you predict that the Shyam is a regular student? No, right. To give any statement that this particular student is a regular or not, we just have to check the attendance of whole semester, right. So here every day when the student is coming, we are just giving that data to the computer. Every day's data we are recording. Today this much students are present, this much students are absent. And what the computer will do? At the end of the semester, the computer will process all these things, and finally the computer will produce information, right. It will gives one sheet, and in that sheet roll numbers are there, the name of the students are there, and the percentage of that student, right. RAM 75% attendance, obviously it's good. right? Suppose Shyam is there, only 20% of attendance, right? So that thing what we are getting from the computer as a output after processing a lot of things, it is called information. So why we are using computer? So we are just giving a data to the computer. Computer is a processor, data processor. It will process the data and it will produce information, right? Okay, so you can see, let's suppose this is, let us assume this is our food processor, and what we want is we want a milkshake. Fine. So what we are doing, so we are just giving a various ingredients, right? For example, we are just giving a mango pieces, sugar, water, milk, etc., etc. So this thing, whatever ingredients you are giving, whatever things you are, raw material you are providing to the food processor, pieces of the mango, sugar, water, whatever it is, they are all known as a data, right? Here what you have is you have a food processor. The food processor will process all this thing, and finally it will produce that thing which you want, right? So it will produce what? It will produce a milkshake, and that is nothing, it is a information for us. Getting? So there are three terms are there. One is a data, so it's a raw material, is a unstructured, on the basis of the data we can't make any kind of decision. That type of data we are providing to the computer system. So obviously what computer will do? Computer will take a data as an input, then it will process the data, and finally the computer will comes up with the information, right, which we want. Okay, so this three term that you should know. Always the computer takes data as an input, it will process it, and it will produce information. In today's session, we are just keeping our discussion up to here. In the next session, we will see few more things, that is how the computer generation is going on, what happened in the first generation, what was there in the second generation, how the various generation the technology gets changed, and so many things. Till then, take care and bye-bye.